Jay Hill, he might be the defensive coordinator at BYU again. This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12, and the Drake Toll Show on Westwood 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. Jay Hill was the defensive coordinator at BYU 4 days ago. Then we were all told, as Americans, Jay Hill is no longer the defensive coordinator at BYU. Today, Jay Hill is once again the defensive coordinator at BYU. Snip, snap, snip, snap. Wow. If you hit subscribe, I get to keep my job. I'll tell you, as the host of Locked On Big 12, 16 teams, plenty of things to go through. Texas Tech playing a college football playoff game, or Iowa State having 7 players left on their roster, 21 starters gone. It's weird to have a coordinator make up such a large portion of the storylines in this league, but it is because of the intricacy of Kyle Whittingham leaving Utah because he couldn't stay at Utah as the head coach, and then immediately going for Jay Hill, the defensive coordinator at BYU, to follow him. Sheil Wood at Texas Tech, I think, is one of the most valuable coordinators in this league. One of the most high profile would have been Kendall Briles at TCU. Mac Leftwich at Texas Tech and what he's done with the offense, right? There are conversation points about coordinators, but how far do those storylines go? Typically not very far. Unless weird things happen like this. Weird things happen like this where a UCF fan or a Cincinnati fan or an Arizona fan will go, man, that's messed up. I don't even know what's going on there. So we had initial reports from Terrell Williams. He's like, hey, it's done. Jay Hill's gone. Then it comes out that there are others who may want to leave with Jay Hill and follow their friend, Kyle Whittingham, to Michigan, leaving BYU, the rival school of Utah that Kyle Whittingham was the head coach of. Again, this is like you are the Alabama head coach. You leave the job for Michigan. Your first hire is the Auburn defensive coordinator. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's how BYU and Utah do their business. Alex Markham, who I vaguely know a bit. I read his tweets sometimes. Usually they're anti-BYU, and I'm like, oh, this guy's he's really good at making BYU fans mad, and they fall for it every time. This is nuts. He tweets, multiple sources have told me after days ago, everybody from ESPN to Fox to the big names in sports that are the guys who break the news at On 3, were like, yeah, man, he's got Jay Hill. Like, he's the guy. Say goodbye, BYU. After the bowl game, there's videos of him hugging Kalani, hugging the players. One of the best coordinators in the Big 12, one of the best in BYU history who's built an elite defense, is gone. Then, hold the phone, Alex Markham tweets, multiple sources now have told me BYU is still fighting Michigan for Jay Hill. The Cougars aren't messing around and are backing it up with money. Terrell Williams. Alex is right. Terrell? I think it's Terrell. As of a few days ago, per previous tweets, Jay to Michigan was a done deal. Everything but signed. But BYU pulling out the big guns in an attempt to keep him in Provo. Dum, 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 da, dum, da, dum, da. It's not Jaws. It's the CEO of Crumble Cookies. It's the Cookie Man. I wonder sometimes if in times of need at BYU, there's just a light that flashes in the sky. It's just the Crumble logo. You know what? Fine. If our coaches want to leave BYU, the CEO of Crumble Cookies will fix this mess. What ye BYU Board of Trustees, administrators, president, athletic director, what ye seem not able to do, CEO of Crumble Cookies, will step in. That's not literal. But certainly the donors here seem to have a large impact on what's happening with Jay Hill. A few weeks ago, Kalani Sitake was all but signed. Remember when he was officially going to Penn State? When everyone agreed, like, oh, well, that's a done deal. He's gone. Like, shoot, yeah, he probably is. Everything points to him leaving. And then the second before he puts name on dotted line, BYU just has this way of looking at their coaches and saying, no, you're not going anywhere. You're our guy. It is incredible how they're doing this. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But if you are of the mind, and Penn State fans were, and Michigan fans are, that BYU cannot outbid you, that BYU cannot pony up the money to compete with Michigan or Penn State, you're wrong. You are badly wrong. Here's what this says about the athletic director at BYU, Brian Santiago, and it's going to surprise you. This is Locked On Big 12. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel every Friday, 6 to 7:30 Eastern Time. You can go get the happy hour of the NBA, surprises, boosts, and more at FanDuel. FanDuel is my favorite place to go as somebody who doesn't love the NBA, but I do love FanDuel. So I will go to FanDuel, I'll throw my shekels on FanDuel, and I'll win money on the NBA. Nikola Jokic is out for 4 weeks. What does that mean to me? Not a ton, but enough for me to go and use this happy hour deal to make bets on the NBA and watch the games more closely. You also should keep in mind that today's show, not just brought to you by the FanDuel app, is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is where I go when I need tickets and I need them cheap and fast. I go to Game Time and say, hey, I want to go to a concert for New Year's Eve. Game Time says, yeah, cool. What concert do you want and how cheap do you want it? That's the beauty of how Game Time operates, how easy it's been, convenient it's been to use their zone deals. I pick the zone, they pick the seat, I save money. Game Time, go to Game Time, download the app, use code LOCKEDONCollege right now. Code LOCKEDONCollege right now for special deals at Game Time. Terms apply, but Game Time is the place to go. Game Time, download the app, do it today. Brian Santiago is admittedly a basketball guy. He was the athletic director in waiting. We know about people in waiting, don't we? We all love the people in waiting, you know. Santiago is underneath a long-tenured regime of Tom Holmoe kind of learning in the shadows, and is a BYU guy through and through. He's promoted to athletic director, and from what I've heard, this was kind of tumultuous amongst those in the BYU camp. They wondered, hey, why wasn't there a nationwide search? Why didn't we go in different directions? Was Danny Ainge available? For me, I've met Brian Santiago. I've had pleasant experiences with the administration of BYU. They've always been great to me. Santiago's been great to me. And his hiring had a big piece to do with why we currently have Kevin Young as a basketball coach in the Big 12 Conference. That was a good thing for this league. And a piece of that is Brian Santiago and what he's done as the athletic director. He's put a lot of focus, a lot of attention, the NIL budget, a lot of this. Santiago is, as a basketball guy, pushing it toward hoops. For me, hosting a national radio show on Westwood One, I'm a college football guy. I'm a Big 12 guy. I'm going to talk about BYU and Texas Tech. I'm going to talk about storylines the rest of the country aren't paying attention to because, we don't care. I'm going to make you care. You should care. Because it's my first love, the Big 12, that's what I talk about. It's what I'm most passionate about. I don't fault Brian Santiago for that. But a couple of weeks ago, it came to a head when Kalani said, hey, we've got to put NIL. The focus you're putting in basketball, building an elite roster of international players, we've got to put that toward football. We've got to put it toward my staff. It's got to feel fair. We are the front porch of the university. I know basketball needs attention, and it's very good, and basketball is a sport that we've got to focus on, but football needs you. Football needs your help. And from there, Santiago has, in essence, made Kalani the CEO of football. We have an athletic director, and the guy who hey, we'll meet with the donors, and it might not always be a smooth conversation, but we're going to find a way. If you want that, Kalani, if we want to make this happen, if we want to make this work, we'll find a way. And I think if Jay Hill was going to Michigan, you would have already heard that. But Brian Santiago, the athletic director, Kalani Sitake, the donors, they get on the phone and they say, if we can make this happen, we're going to throw out the kitchen sink. We're going to make it worth it for Jay Hill. We're going to make this make sense for Jay Hill. We're going to make it make sense for the assistants at BYU to keep this staff together because we believe this is the best staff possible to compete for a national championship in Provo. And maybe a piece of this that we should be considering more often as other fans of Big 12 teams, myself a Baylor guy, you might be a fan of Arizona State or TCU. What you should consider is, why isn't the rest of the league like this? Like, BYU ponied up and said, we're going to do everything possible to keep our head coach. We're going to do everything possible to keep his assistants. Jamie Pollard, Iowa State, said, our hands are tied. I don't know if we can match that. I'm sorry. At Utah, Kevin Harlan was like, Mark Harlan? Kevin Harlan's way cooler. Mark Harlan was like, yeah, I don't know. We can't keep doing this, Whittingham. See you later. We're watching Big 12 coaches leave. The administration at Oklahoma State, the fall apart with Mike Gundy. As we see it, we're not seeing athletic departments protect football, protect the coaches, put the coaches' interests pretty high. And I wonder, why do we get that out of BYU? And where is the rest of the Big 12 while this is happening? What are they up to? When can they commit to this? That's a good example that I think Texas Tech and BYU are both doing of leading the way in the conference for this is how to navigate 2025, 2026 in college athletics. Love it. Proud of that. And I think Jay Hill will be at BYU next year. If I had to call it, he'd be at BYU because as of right now, they haven't announced the contrary. And if he's thinking about it this much, BYU sweetening the pot, just stay. And that would be great for the BYU defense and retaining their players. Plenty more on this. Texas Tech, Oregon, our focus turns there. Have a great new year. This has been It Always Will Be Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.